Hey folks, Josh here from Rockstar Intuition and Second House Remote Viewing. Just gonna go over the end of week debrief here. We're sitting here at the 6th of June 2026, about 11 in the morning, and the markets yesterday were a bit of a bloodbath. Pretty much everything that we had in the charts this month we had going down in kind of the first quarter, first third of the month, and I'm just going to run through the charts here. It looks like we definitely hit on those. So we'll kick it off with the S&P 500 here. This was my chart. I had it kind of this feeling of going down starting the month. We had a bit of a dip and then a quick recovery and then just a huge crash out on Friday here, just all the way down. I had this little Batman looking symbol here, and I'm wondering if that was actually signaling that we'd see like this gap in the chart. That's not a symbol I've really seen before in my ideograms, so I thought that was kind of neat, that correlation. This kind of straight down with a bump further down, that's sort of my fairly typical shape of a crash, and it's lining up here kind of near the 8th where the bottom is, which, I mean, right now markets are closed from the 5th to the 8th. We're going, we finished the week very oversold. You can see from the relative strength index here at the bottom. That's the thing I use to determine whether I'm going to buy or sell stuff a lot of the time. When it's down in the red zone here, that means there's lots of fear and everybody's selling. And when it's up top here and it's green, that means everyone's super euphoric and buying. Usually I try to do the opposite of what everybody else is doing. That seems to be the best way to keep the account growing. Not financial advice, but that's what smarter people than me have said you're supposed to do. And so far, that's kind of what I've been doing with my this experiment in remote viewing and finance that I've been doing for the last year or so. And so far it's kind of keeping me in the right place. So I didn't buy any SPX. I did buy a short position on QQQ, just a short QQQ ETF, which is kind of the same thing. I bought that here. So as this was all crashing on Friday, I went up 13% on that and actually just kind of did a quick flip of that position. 13% in a day is pretty good. It was a small position, but felt good to be green on something yesterday when it was all kind of crashing and going nuts. So I wasn't in the S&P at all. So taking that short position, it's my first time actually playing with that idea of doing the opposite and trying to profit on something that's going down. So I'm a newbie investor. I'm a pretty experienced remote viewer, but when it comes to financial stuff, this is why I say not financial advice so much, because I'm not qualified to give any such advice. But yeah, that's what we got for the S&P, and I'll do a separate video just looking at over on the Second House channel, looking at some of the same stuff. But pretty much everybody had a very similar kind of thing for the beginning of the month. And here in week one, it's looking like we lined up pretty good on the S&P. Now, I do think we're going to see probably a recovery next week, maybe chopping kind of sideways. But I did feel like we were going to get some good news later this month and that we'd kind of end up heading back up. Now, whether we'll be back to the all-time highs we were here, or if it's just kind of a slow recovery moving up from this crash, I guess we'll see. But it's quite possible this was an overreaction. I know there's some news here, positive job numbers in the data that was released on Friday, and that has, I guess, an inverse effect on interest rates or something. So everyone panicked and sold because, oh no, the economy is looking better. There's lots of jobs. That means interest rates are going to go up. So we better sell off the whole market. I don't know. The market's super reactionary with stuff like that. So again, not an expert in any of that stuff, but that seems to be what the general consensus is for the reason of the crash. Everything was just super overheated at, all-time highs and talk of bubbles, and you got SpaceX coming up next week. I think that's probably why it tanked. People were feeling good about, being at all-time highs, and there was just one more domino that, caused that parabolic run to finally have a bit of a correction. So I don't know how long-lived this correction is going to be. I think we'll probably, see it pop back up a little bit next week. Probably higher end of the month than we are today at the end of the first week. That's my standing by that prediction, I think, moving forward here. Moving on to oil, similar kind of thing here. I had this sort of V-shaped dip back up and then back down. These are pretty big swings. We're going from, like it's like a $10 swing in oil. So 10% swings from top to bottom almost. And yeah, it's looking like going into week 2 here. We're coming in low. We might see another spike maybe by the end of next week. This could represent a big gap here. I don't know, just if the Batman theory holds from the SPX, or it could just be showing, some volatility. But I do think again, it feels like there's kind of a big dip down into the month here somewhere, and maybe it'll be an overcorrection, but I do think we end up with some lower oil prices by the end of the month, and maybe some good news, maybe this Hormuz stuff getting sorted out. I know the House of Representatives passed a war powers resolution in the U.S. against Donald Trump's war in Iran. So, that's still got to go through the Senate. He can still veto it, but it's certainly a sign that we might be moving towards something a little bit better there. I guess we'll wait and see. But yeah, still thinking oil ends lower end of the month, or maybe stays around where it is here now that we've kind of crashed out here at the end of the first week. We could go a little bit lower still. I don't know. I'm still feeling a lower ending to the month, or at least another dip. Maybe a rip first though. I do think we kind of get some more volatility. Like, look at all this news coming up. There's a lot of news coming up next week, so it's probably going to be a choppy week. That's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. And if you'd like to learn more, head on over to rockstarintuition.com. We've got lots more predictions in our private membership site, updated every couple of weeks, and remote viewing courses so you can learn how to do this yourself, all for a very reasonable monthly fee. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.